I never thought I'd see an SUV swallowed up by front lawn like some bad B-movie swamp monster. But there I was, sipping my coffee on the porch, watching Karen's behemoth of a vehicle sink inch by inch, like the earth had finally had enough. She screeched so loud the birds scattered, stomped out of her car, and stormed straight up my driveway, mud clinging to her designer heels, face red enough to stop traffic. You know what the best part was? She had no clue that every miserable, muddy inch of that mess was my handiwork, and perfectly, deliciously legal. It wasn't always this way. 3 years ago, when I bought this house, I had this peaceful little vision in my head. You know the one, quiet neighborhood, the sound of sprinklers in the morning, the kind of soft, green lawn that makes old men slow down on their evening walks just to nod at it. Yeah, that was my goal. I had a system, morning watering, precision trims, waging silent war against every single dandelion like they owed me money. That lawn was my pride. For a while, it was everything I'd hoped, just green, simple, quiet. Then, of course, Karen moved in. And with her, all the tranquility of suburbia died a spectacular, screaming death. You could hear her before you ever saw her. Her voice hit pitches I swear only dolphins and neighborhood dogs could pick up. And her SUV? It sounded like a freight train rolling through a library, zero subtlety. She made it a point to say, "I'm not like other Karens," which, looking back, should have been a warning sign. Within her first week, she started using my lawn as her personal parking spot. Not just a wheel on the edge, either, full passenger side, practically half the car embedded in my precious grass. She'd toss out, "Emergency school run," or "just for a second," as if that made her curb-mounting Olympic event some kind of civic duty. I tried, believe me, to play nice. Polite little sign, "Please don't park on grass." She laughed at it, literally pointed and laughed, then ran it over the next day like it was part of some suburban demolition derby. The first time she actually talked to me, she looked at my face and said, "You're really going to cry over a patch of grass, sweetie?" I should have known then. This wasn't going to end with a handshake and some neighborly lemonade. I figured, all right, let's take it up with the HOA. Maybe the grown-ups can help. Turns out, Karen was on the HOA board. Of course she was. It all made sense. They shrugged and told me to just let it go. But see, I'm not wired that way. You wreck my hard work. You disrespect my peace. Oh, it's on. The last straw came on a rainy Wednesday. The ground was mushy, soft as pudding, and I heard that engine roar outside, same as always. Karen's SUV barreled up the curb, wheels spinning, slinging mud and turf like she was auditioning for a monster truck show. The thing sank and sank, stopped moving entirely. She stepped out, her expensive shoes sinking into the slop, and started yelling at my lawn like it had betrayed her. "Your grass ruined my car," she bellowed, as if I'd somehow convinced Mother Nature to plot against her. I just stood in the rain and watched. Didn't even bother arguing, because in that moment, the best, most awful idea hit me. If she wanted to treat my lawn like a parking lot, fine. Let's give her a parking lot experience she'd never forget, complete with hidden fees, one-way traffic, and the world's worst valet. And the best part? I was going to do it all by the book. Next morning, I became a certified landscaping law expert. Hours of reading bylaws, city codes, you name it. Turns out, as long as it's not a structural change or safety hazard, you can basically build a moat if you call it eco-friendly. That's when I discovered the concept of a bioswale. It's this shallow, plant-filled ditch to manage water runoff. Good for the environment, loved by city planners, and, if you play it just right, perfect for creating what I come call the swamp trap. It wasn't an overnight job. I started with garden liners, soil mixes, turf that'd hold up on top but turned traitor under enough weight. Even bought a few frog statues and pond lights to sell the look. All the while, Karen kept parking, I rolling, living her best chaotic life. What she didn't know was that every night, I was out there in the dark, slowly engineering a disaster. Drainage pipes, water-absorbing clay, engineered topsoil. When I was done, it looked perfect, like the grass you see in commercials. Like the world's greenest welcome mat. 2 days of heavy rain later, Karen struck again. She rolled up, didn't even slow down, arrogance in action. Her tires hit my trap and dropped hard. She tried to reverse, but the more she floored it, the deeper she sank. Watching from my porch, coffee in hand, I felt like David Attenborough narrating a wildlife special. And here, the alpha predator finds herself at the mercy of the bog. She screamed, blamed the weather, the car, probably me. When the tow truck showed up and got stuck too, I almost wept with pride. Word spread by morning. The neighborhood group chat was on fire. Grainy photos of Karen's half-swallowed SUV, the tow truck behind it, both stuck like a bad punchline. My lawn was suddenly famous, and honestly, I loved it. But I knew Karen. She wasn't the type to lick her wounds and back down. If anything, she was plotting her counterattack. So I didn't stop at one trap. If she wanted war, I'd give her a symphony. I dug deeper into the HOA rules and found the Green Sustainability Incentive Program. Basically, you can do anything to your yard if you slap a water conservation label on it. Armed with fancy brochures and a home-printed flyer for a community ecological initiative, I filed a plan for a bioswale conversion. Got it stamped, approved. No one read past the first paragraph. Now I went full mad scientist. Truckloads of special soil, grasses that hid the mud, mesh structures that collapsed under enough weight. I even hired a guy who thought I was building an art installation. Let him keep thinking that. Daytime, landscapers made it look legit. Nighttime, I was tweaking everything. Secret soak pits, patches of ground designed to look firm and turn traitor under pressure. Karen? She barely skipped a beat. Got her car cleaned, returned like nothing happened, even started parking one wheel on the edge just to mess with me. I smiled, waved, told her about my city-approved runoff project. The more official I sounded, the more it seemed to bug her. But the real magic was psychological. I started putting up signs, wetland area in progress, native plants, do not disturb, sod testing zone. She scoffed at everyone, but every neighbor that walked by started asking questions, started laughing, started rooting for me. Even her allies were quietly enjoying the show. Then she pulled her twist. Suddenly, flyers showed up about forming a beautification committee. She posted all over the HOA Facebook group, talking about ugly natural lawns and unsightly swamp projects. She wasn't even subtle. She meant me. One afternoon, she stomped over, handed me a printed list of acceptable garden aesthetics, and tried to act like she was delivering a new constitution. I looked her dead in the eye and asked if her SUV had found Jesus after its baptism in my yard. She didn't laugh. I did. But, people get tired of drama. Neighbors mostly stayed out of it. Some even started defending my project. It's good for the water table. I hear the frogs eat mosquitoes. The best part? Karen never realized how much documentation I kept. Every email, every approval, every soil test, all cataloged. So when she started building a case against my yard, taking photos and muttering into her phone, I was ready. At this point, it wasn't about defending my grass anymore. It was about the show. I'd catch her peeking out the window at night, and I'd make a big production of laying new turf or watering the native habitat. She tried to sabotage me. One night, I caught her flinging gravel over my curb, trying to stabilize the edge. The trail cam footage was gold. Karen in slippers, scowling, tossing rocks like a gremlin. Next morning, I taped a printout of the footage to my mailbox with a smiley face sticker. She never brought it up again. The Swamp Trap 2.0 was glorious. The ground was always just a bit softer than it looked, and after a fresh rain, it was downright treacherous. But it was also beautiful, lush, green, eco-approved, and signed off by the very HOA she tried to weaponize against me. The neighborhood started treating my yard like a local landmark. People came by just to stare. A few brought their kids to see the frogs. Then came the next crescendo. Monday morning, light rain, the street was quiet, and Karen, true to form, pulled up, didn't check a thing, rolled right onto her spot. This time, the trap didn't just snag her front tire, it got both. Her SUV pitched forward, the wheels spinning mud everywhere. Her door barely opened. She stepped out, shrieked as her foot vanished into the muck, and screamed like she was fighting off quicksand. I couldn't help it. I set down my coffee and just watched, slow and steady, like a man savoring the grand finale. She yelled, accused me of sabotage, threatened lawsuits. I motioned to the sign next to her tire, caution, wetland area. City approved. I smiled and said, perfectly safe for butterflies. She lost it. When the tow truck arrived, a newer, beefier model, the driver looked at the scene, sighed, and said, I'm going to regret this. Sure enough, he edged forward, hooked up the SUV, and the truck's front wheels dipped into the same hidden bog. Both vehicles stuck, both drivers cursing. The whole block came out to watch, phones everywhere. Some guy offered to bring his drone. Another whispered it was already going viral. Karen tried to regain control, waving her arms, yelling at people to stop filming. That, of course, made everyone film harder. Finally, a giant tow truck came, winched both vehicles out from the road, and left my lawn a glorious mess of deep tire ruts and half-dead turf. Karen, splattered and livid, stormed up to me. You're obsessed with me, she spat. I just pulled up my phone and played a video, her knocking over my sign, then telling a neighbor I should get over it. I said, you trespassed, repeatedly, damaged my property, all in front of witnesses. If anyone's suing, it's me. Later that day, HOA called an emergency meeting. Karen claimed I created a community hazard. I walked in with every document, email, and a video montage of her SUV's greatest hits. The board had nothing. Even the president, who'd always waffled, just looked at Karen and said, if you'd stopped parking on his lawn, none of this would have happened. Karen muttered about harassment, but everyone knew the war was over. The real twist? A few mornings later, I noticed a little surveillance camera, HOA sticker and all, pointed right at my yard. Karen's new tactic, try to catch me slipping up. So I put up my own, tucked in a birdhouse, aimed at the sidewalk and my swampy masterpiece. Every movement recorded, every late-night gravel toss documented. She tried everything. Complaints about noise, my solar path lights, even the frogs. Claimed my swamp was a mosquito hazard. City inspector said her birdbath was worse. I smiled through every meeting, paperwork in hand, watched her frustration boil. She was unraveling, fast. Then one night, my trail cam caught her in the act, pouring gravel and what looked like cement into my bioswale. Next morning, I filed a trespassing report, sent the video to the HOA and city. Inspector came out, fined her for modifying someone else's permitted landscaping. She went live on Facebook to expose me. I just showed her the police report and citation on camera. The comments shredded her. A week later, the neighborhood voted unanimously to ban lawn parking, escalating fines for anyone who tried. Karen was voted off the HOA board for her conflict of interest. Suddenly, peace returned. Her SUV vanished. Her house got quiet. Then a for sale sign appeared in her yard. She packed up and left. No goodbyes, no more drama. Her last act? Ignoring the entire neighborhood. I walked over one evening and left a little frog with sunglasses on her porch. A farewell gift, a warning, maybe both. So what did I actually learn from this muddy, ridiculous war? That sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't mean yelling louder. It means getting creative, keeping your cool, and letting karma handle the heavy lifting. I learned that boundaries matter, literal and metaphorical. You don't need to stoop to their level. Sometimes you just build a better trap and wait. And as for justice, sometimes it really does come with mud on its shoes. But here's the thing that sticks with me. Long after the last frog croaked and the grass grew back thicker than ever, how far is too far when you're defending your space? Where's the line between justice and revenge? Between protecting your peace and becoming the thing you're fighting? Does karma ever go too far? Or is it just giving people exactly what they earn? I'll leave that to you. What do you think? Was I right? Was she wrong? Or is there more gray in the green than we like to admit? Share your take, or tell me your own wild neighborhood saga. I'll be right here, watching the lawn, waiting for the next story to sprout.